I like the word progression because I feel like in life, as leaders, as human beings, we get to piggyback off of the day before, and we have this opportunity to use everything in life as a way of learning, as a way of growth, as a way of inspiration, as a way of upliftment. So each day is a new day, and I get to wake up in the morning and reset, clear my mind, my body, my heart, my soul, use what I've learned. Our willingness to do produces the ability to do. So when someone's open-hearted and willing and vulnerable and willing to dive into the depths of their soul to make transformation happen, to change themselves and to change the planet, it's a magical recipe. Nature does it. I mean, nature is one of the greatest teachers available to us. It's teaching us mind over matter. It's teaching us presence, even teaching us teamwork.
Or what's your perspective on happiness?
I want to be fit. There's the goal line. And the goal line's important, but most people forget about the soul line. And the soul line would be inspiration, enthusiasm, fulfillment. We all have an inner master. Slow down, listen, walk in nature, do whatever is required to get in touch with the inner master.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to our next episode of the Happiness Hour. Today, I have with me Stephen McGhee. He is a transformational leadership coach, speaker, and author who has dedicated his life to helping people with purpose, courage, and spiritual depth. With over 2 decades of experience coaching high-performing individuals and executive teams, Stephen challenges leaders to operate from their inner truth and take bold, aligned action. Stephen integrates wisdom from nature, adventure, and personal mastery to support leaders in discovering their potential by living from the inside out. I resonate with every line that I've read, and that is just so beautiful to meet souls one connects with right away. Thank you and welcome to our podcast, Stephen.
Thank you for having me. In the few minutes we talked before we started the recording, I know that we're kindred spirits and that we were sharing right away to the depth of life and leadership, and looking forward to a wonderful conversation with you. Thank you for what you're doing to put the word out to the people, to the global community of people interested in leadership and happiness.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. You talk about every day is day one, and I'd love to hear more about your journey of stitching deals to living with love and gratitude. That's it's a big transition which I have also been through. So I'd love to hear about yours.
I like the word progression because I feel like in life, as leaders, as human beings, we get to piggyback off of the day before, and we have this opportunity to use everything in life as a way of learning, as a way of growth, as a way of inspiration, as a way of upliftment. So each day is a new day, and I get to wake up in the morning and reset, clear my mind, my body, my heart, my soul, use what I've learned. Even the hard things, even the devastating things can be used for my learning and my growth and my advancement. But to continue this positive focus about how I can use those things in life to grow and to learn and to inspire others and to serve others. And I don't think we're that different, people. I think that we all have this in common.
That is so true. I think if there's one thing that we all have is the capacity to learn, recreate, and move forward. It's just requires that conscious effort. And I think that's what we all talk about is how can we do it more consciously rather than just drift along.
Well, I love that word, those words. I'll probably use those words, conscious effort, because it's a mindfulness to it, right? We're bringing a clear intention to what we want and what we want to create.
And this consciousness or love is our guiding principle. It's really that guides us forward. Uh, What really got you in touch with that inner self? Was there a particular incident, or was it just one of those things that, you're reading something? What triggered that in you?
Well, I think there's always a number of things that guide us to these places of inner growth, but I'll share one event and I'll make it short because it's a longer story than we might have time for. If you want to know more, I'll be happy to share more, but I was grinding it out in the corporate world. I grew up with very little uh, with very little. My mother raised four kids, on a low salary, so we didn't have much. We grew up, I wouldn't say in poverty. We always had food and such, but we didn't have much. So my goal as a young man was I wanted to make money. So I went into banking and finance and I was good at it, but it was burning me out. I felt like I was chasing something that was out of my integrity. It wasn't filling my soul. And after about 8 years of it, I ended up in a hospital room in intensive care where I had a very serious condition with a blood clot. And I was in the intensive care unit. And one early morning at 3 a.m., there was a man next to me. And in an intensive care, there's not a room. There's just a sheet between you and the next person. And he was there from a motorcycle accident where he had caught fire and his body had been burned, third-degree burns.
Ouch.
And I could hear him breathing. And I could hear him struggling with breath. And then, not to be overly dramatic, but I heard him take his last breath and he died. And
Okay.
in that moment, I felt this huge shift inside of me, the compassion that I had for another human being passing and transitioning, but also I didn't want to miss what was there for me. And so there was this immediacy of grace and this immediacy of presence to the precious nature of life. And it changed my life in that minute. I was struggling myself in intensive care, but I obviously came out of there healthy, and I got my health back, but I was clear that I wasn't going to go back into any situation that that didn't work for me, that was against my integrity, that worked against what my soul wanted to do. And that's when I started to move into the work that I do now with leaders across the globe. But that was a benchmark moment for me. That was a time that is in my cells. It was like I didn't want to miss what spirit was there to teach me.
Well, God bless his soul, and he left you with a very, very powerful lesson.
He did. He did
Touched you
indeed.
deeply. So, when you work with leaders who are, where you were, and you left it earlier than many do, how do you create that shift in them?
Well, I think you and I would agree on this. Like, I don't think there's any way to create a shift in another person unless there's two things present. One is that I've made the shift.
Yeah.
So I'm always looking deep at self. Like, how am I showing up? Who am I being as a leader in the world? What's my level of integrity? And from that place, I think there's a transmission that can occur in a conversation with another person where they kind of recognize, this isn't just some guy or some person translating what they read in a book, but there's actually a transformation or a wisdom that's coming through, the teaching or the conversation. So there's that. And then on the other side, with that person, what I'm looking for when I work with leaders is what is your level of willingness? Not what's your level of credentials or college degree or were you a CEO or a CFO? I could care less about any of that. What I want to know is what's your willingness, because I think our willingness to do produces the ability to do. So when someone's open-hearted and willing and vulnerable and willing to dive into the depths of their soul to make transformation happen, to change themselves and to change the planet, it's a magical recipe.
It's that moment of resonance when you know.
That's right. Amen, sister.
You take a lot of leaders to the mountains and out in nature. How do you blend, this path of fun and path of shift? I think it comes together. I know that, but I'd love to hear it from you. How do you do that?
I don't really do it. To be honest, nature does it.
Yeah.
Yeah, nature does it. I mean, nature is one of the greatest teachers available to us. And, just being in nature, when one can get present with climbing a mountain or going on a walk in the forest, or let's even say, I mean, not too long ago, a group of us met at sunrise on the beach, and this was when the water was cold and we all swam out together and let the cold teach us. What's it teaching us? It's teaching us mind over matter. It's teaching us presence. It's teaching us we're in a circle in the ocean holding hands in the cold, and we're better together. So it's even teaching us teamwork if we let it. So, I use nature a lot in my work for myself. I believe in what I call nature coherence.
Mm-hmm.
So I believe that the sunrise teaches us circadian, not teaches us, but it resets our circadian rhythm. And it just does it so easily and so naturally. And unfortunately, many of us are just separate, from nature. We're separate from our breath. We're separate from, you know, what the weather is. We just are in our cars and we're in our offices. And strangely, most people are spending over 90% of their time indoors. So I believe nature is a great teacher, and I like to get people I work with out in nature as much as possible.
It's humbling. It's the best teacher, and I think, as somebody very rightly told me, you cannot hold your ego against nature. That is one thing it it teaches you who's the master.
Oh my God. I did a project called the Aconcagua Man Project where we climbed a 23,000-foot mountain, and
Right?
I was in devotion the whole way. I was like, and I called her a she because I felt like Aconcagua was a she mountain. And I was like, she could kick our ass anytime she wanted. And she did kick people's ass. I mean, we saw, I made a film about it, but we watched a person on our summit day fall to his death because he wasn't respecting Mother Nature, in my opinion, and respecting what she was there to show us. So nature's always going to win at the end, if we don't respect her and we don't respect what nature has to teach us. So she's a great teacher, a powerful teacher for us as leaders if we're willing to learn.
So true. Really, you, I mean, going into nature, working with leaders, working on yourself, firstly. Our whole perspective on where we start from, like success is something, money, success, you went after that. And then you made a full shift towards inner self and happiness. What is your view today on how do you define, or what's your perspective on happiness?
Well, I think that there's two, like, this is overly simplified. It's a great question, but there's the goal line.
Yeah.
So the goal line might be money, it might be a house, it might be marriage relationship, it might be body fat. I want to lose weight, I want to be fit. There's the goal line. And the goal line's important, but most people forget about the soul line.
Mm-hmm.
And the soul line would be inspiration, enthusiasm, fulfillment. So when I work with leaders, oftentimes they're very successful on the goal line, but there's a little bit of fulfillment on the soul line. So imagine what happens in life if a person has success on the goal line, but they also have success on the soul line. So look at the breadth and the depth of life now. There's this combination of success on the goal line, but there's this fulfillment. So, how do we get fulfillment on the soul line? Through service consciousness, through giving and receiving, through who we're deciding and choosing to be in the moment when life throws us a curveball. And those are things nobody can take from us. Like sometimes money goes away, sometimes health goes away, sometimes relationships fall apart. But if we have that deep infrastructure on the soul line, nobody can take that from us. That's something we have forever.
Yeah, that permanence.
A
That per-
permanence.
yeah, that permanent anchor, you anchor with it and you are stable in any hurricane. And I think that's what is our biggest wealth. It is indeed.
Yeah, agreed.
Um, you know, when leaders come from joy, like you said, there's an expanse. It's the soul line and the success line. What have you seen different with leaders who work from this expanse space? The Whether it's the impact or inspiration. Tell me a little about such of, somebody you think you really admire.
Well, I would start with my clients. Like all of the clients that I work with, I have deep respect. I have deep admiration for their willingness to um, combine the goal line with the soul line. So, one thing that I see in these leaders is that they're adept at great listening. And we were taught, at least I was taught back in the day, that listening was not a part of leadership, that telling, that being right, that being in the boardroom or being in the team meeting and having the right answers was the goal. And the leaders that I admire and work with, what's different about them is they have an open mindset. So they're open to new ideas, they're open to new possibilities, they're open to new solutions, and they're open to get this, they're open to creating through listening. Like there's a power in listening because in listening, there's a presence. And I say presence pays. So if you think about being in a meeting with someone that's really present and really listening, they may not say much, but what they do say, it's like a mic drop. Like it really adds value. So there's that. And just that these are people who bring out the best in others. Just being in their presence because of their care, because of their compassion. They often have very clear boundaries, so they're not pushovers. They hold accountability. That it's like people can feel like I can't get away with anything with this person. Like, I know they're loving and I know they're kind, but I also know they're not a pushover. I can't fool them. They're going to ask me tough questions and they're going to bring out the best in me. And in my work, that's what I call discretionary energy. And discretionary energy kind of people go, what does that mean? Well, that's the creative, generative, enthusiastic energy that sometimes people hold back. Like they wake up in the morning and they give what they can, but they only give what they can. And a great leader will pull out this next gear, this next level of high level enthusiastic energy from another human being because of who they are, because of what they're transmitting. And it's super cool to watch. It's super beautiful to watch because people start realizing it's not about punching the clock or being on a team. It's about, I'm with this team where something great is happening and we're all rising together. We're all learning together. We're all collaborating together. That's what great leaders do.
I like this concept. It's the first time I've heard this word, discretionary energy. It's the energy we hold back,
Yeah,
which somebody's found a way to tap into and release and really open up that best part of you, which you didn't even know
yeah,
existed.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, didn't even know it existed. It's like we're going into a whole nother realm, a whole nother dimension.
Yeah, that is empowering, inspiring, and beautiful. Uh, if you had to share one thought or nugget with our listeners or a book, anything that you think would be really inspiring and touch their soul, what would you say?
I would say that the nugget that I would want to share today would be that we all have, everyone, not one person is exempt from this. We all have an inner master. And when we take the time to peel back the layers, to listen to that authentic self, to that inner master, the answers that we need for life, for business, are always there. And when we're caught up in the noise, or we're caught up in the self judgment, we're caught up in the criticism of self, or we're just being hard on ourselves, it's hard to hear the inner master because then we're hearing the voice of dissension, we're hearing the voice of criticism. So, my nugget today would be slow down, listen, journal, meditate, pray, walk in nature, do whatever is required to get in touch with the inner master and ask the question, what's the best way forward for me now? What's the best solution in this project I'm working on? How can I heal the relationship with my spouse or my sister or my brother? The answers are there. If we get quiet enough, we have the answer. We don't, I mean, I love coaching people and I will coach people till the day I die. And one of the great things about coaching is holding space for people to hear that inner master. But I don't have any pretension that I have the answers for you or for anybody else. So there's value in being with another to hold that space, but every one of us has the answers we need deep inside.
Yeah, absolutely well said. And I call this inner master our playbook to happiness. We all have this key inside us. It's the best kept secret, I would say.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I think we really, really underestimate the power of it, the leader
yeah,
with
me too.
you do. But yeah, no, that has been so beautiful today. And is there a book that you, or some master that you have followed, or some practice that has really led you here?
There is a man that he was like a father to me. His name is John Roger, and he has since transitioned, so he's not on the planet anymore. But John Roger was a way shower for me at a time when I really needed a way shower, and he started many organizations, including the Movement for Spiritual Inner Awareness, Peace Theological Seminary, the University of Santa Monica, where I got a degree in spiritual psychology. And what he taught was practical spirituality. So he had principles and protocols like compassionate self-forgiveness, but he taught it in a way that people could apply it. And I found great, great value in his teachings. I was grateful to be his friend and to have him in my life for many, many years. And he impacted positively tens of thousands of people through his writings and through his teachings. So I would say there's a gem there, right there.
God bless his soul. Uh,
Yeah.
so I think all of us, when we find that one master who shows the light, um, and makes us the next beacon of light, I think that's what really the world is about. How do we light from one candle to the next, to the next, and the next?
Beautiful.
And
Beautiful.
on that note, I would like to say thank you very much, Stephen, for lighting up lives. and also adding joy to mine today. So thank you so very much for being here with me today.
And thank you too for your presence, for your heartfelt questions, and for doing the work that you're doing. Deeply appreciate it.
Thank you.